Greetings, I'm Bruce and this is the second part of a three-part video for Oilfield Innovation's self-assessment of its plug and abandonment new technology. Part 1 described the technical challenges being overcome, while the present Part 2 of the series describes the market size for our new technology. The picture you see here is the use of slickline or wireline on a normally unmanned installation or offshore platform. Our method needs only this equipment to carry out offshore P&A and, as you can see, requires minimal equipment compared to other plug and abandonment methods, especially drilling rigs. Once proven, our method can dominate the offshore P&A market because it uses minimal resources and therefore has minimal cost. The markets discussed in this presentation are the North Sea, Gulf of Mexico, Asia Pacific, and onshore P&A markets. The North Sea is a large market with numerous sub-markets, including large platforms, normally unmanned installations, and subsea P&A. The North Sea has significant government interest in finding lower-cost methods with the goal of 40% cost reduction, whereby the government can fund up to 50% of R&D costs for projects it finds interesting. Oilfield Innovations has 2 P&A projects with state funding. Finally, even with a 40% cost reduction, significant profit potential exists for use of our patented methods in the North Sea. The North Sea is a big market, but the Gulf of Mexico and Asia Pacific may be larger. The USA and Asia have more offshore wells and regularly perform rigless P&A. Competition can lead to a lower profit margin, but may be compensated for by the greater volume of wells. Additionally, the simplicity of Oilfield Innovation's patented technologies can be licensed to local firms to access national oil company wells and others. The majority of worldwide wells are onshore wells, where it is difficult to compete with low-cost pulling units that can easily drive up and abandon a well. Oilfield Innovation's diamond wire downhole severance can, however, perform critical P&A tasks like cutting through tubings, clamps, control lines, packers, and other equipment that cause significant problems for pulling unit and other alternatives. Also, using our diamond wire cutter to cross-cut our vertical cutting technology can be used to replace drilling rig section milling onshore or offshore. Furthermore, our wireline P&A technologies can be used through pressure control equipment as an alternative to snubbing operations. Oilfield Innovation's patents are applicable to any offshore or subsea well and any onshore well that requires the cutting of more than just the tubing wall, section milling, or snubbing. While estimates vary widely, the North Sea market is shown in this table. Oil and Gas UK reported in their 2016 decommissioning report that approximately 1,832 offshore wells are to be abandoned by the year 2025. 64% of those wells, or 1,172, are platform wells, and the remaining 660 wells are subsea. As discussed in Part 4 of this video series, these are very significant numbers from a monetary viewpoint. This graph was taken from the U.S. Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement, or BSEE. The solid line represents wells drilled and the dashed line wells abandoned. The difference between the two lines represents the well inventory changes in the Gulf of Mexico. The orange area shows that the number of wells drilled significantly outnumbers the wells abandoned between 1953 and 2006. As shown by the green area, around 2006, the number of wells abandoned exceeded the number of wells drilled, and the Gulf of Mexico's inventory of wells decreased. Looking at the difference of the inventory growth, shown in orange, and the inventory decline, shown in green, somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 offshore wells still require abandonment. It is difficult to determine the precise number because the graph only extends to 2013. However, it is unlikely, given the oil price decline in 2014, that the increased trend of abandonment continued at the same rate. The U.S. P&A market is more receptive to rigless abandonment and is at least as large as the North Sea P&A market, if not significantly larger. A large number of offshore rigless P&A competitors is present in the Gulf of Mexico, but the number of wells needing abandonment is probably larger, and thus the U.S. is likely to be as profitable as the North Sea in spite of the competition. This is a DECOM World graphic showing that at least 800 Asian Pacific offshore installations are approaching the end of their useful life. Installations can be either platform or subsea installations, or a combination of both. Well P&A costs are typically 50% of the overall decommissioning costs of an offshore installation, whereby the P&A costs of subsea wells are more than 50% of the overall installation decommissioning costs, and platform well P&A is slightly less than 50% of the overall installation decommissioning costs. Based on DECOM World's estimate, and the fact that about 50% of the costs can be attributable to well P&A, the Asian Pacific plug and abandonment market is likely to be between $15 and $30 billion over the next 10 years. In summary, over the next 10 years, 1,800 North Sea wells, 5,000 to 10,000 Gulf of Mexico wells, and 800 Asian Pacific installations, which probably have a similar number of wells, will be plugged and abandoned. That is a very large market and strategically significant market, as it can open many doors to other services across the world's largest markets. As described in part 1 of this presentation, Oilfield Innovations is proposing a relatively simple technology that can be manufactured and/or operated by any qualified firm, whereby the technology is legally protected by patents. The common skills necessary to implement the technology already exist and are readily available in the market. Accordingly, business as usual practices like licensing, franchising, or other established means of coordinating across large marketplaces can be used to capture market share. Also, Oilfield Innovations' patented methods of P&A involve the fewest number of operations, the fewest number of people, and have the lowest carbon footprint available in the industry, and, therefore, are the most environmentally friendly and safest P&A methods in the industry. Thank you for watching the second video of Oilfield Innovations Technology self-assessment of the P&A market size. Please watch our third video presentation highlighting the value of services associated with Oilfield Innovations patents in P&A, and also Part 4, estimating the financial value of our patents in the P&A marketplace. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us, and thank you again for taking the time to watch this video presentation. Goodbye.